When you first sit down to watch Pulp Fiction, it feels like pure chaos. The cinematic equivalent of a jukebox loaded with violence, pop culture, and divine intervention. But look past the dialogue and the needle drops, and you'll find that the movie's most consistent language isn't words or even structure, it's color. Tarantino doesn't just paint with blood, he paints with hue, tone, and saturation. Every shot, every wall, every light bulb is part of a hidden code. Pulp Fiction is a story told through color as much as through conversation. The palette of Pulp Fiction is deceptively simple: red, yellow, blue, and the burnt neutrals of Los Angeles. But like everything in Tarantino's world, what seems basic hides a labyrinth of intention. The film's color scheme feels retro, like a faded pulp magazine cover pulled from the 1950s and left too long in the sun. Bold primaries, but a little jaundiced, a little dirty. That's the point. The movie lives between saturation and decay. These are bright colors gone bad, and the same could be said for the people who inhabit them. Red is the obvious one. It's the color of blood, of neon signs, of heat and appetite. But Tarantino uses it as a moral siren. Every time red dominates the frame, something irreversible is about to happen. The opening diner scene hums with red vinyl booths, ketchup bottles, and sunlight bouncing through a crimson filter. Pumpkin and Honey Bunny's crime feels like an extension of that color: jittery, impulsive, loud. By the end of the film, when we return to the same diner, the reds are softer, more diffuse. Jules has changed, he's decided to walk the earth. The palette hasn't vanished, but it's been tamed, redeemed. That's the film in miniature. Same chaos, new meaning. Blue, by contrast, is restraint, the illusion of order. Blue gives Vincent and Jules their aesthetic authority: cool, clean, controlled. But notice how fragile that control is. In the apartment scene with Brett, blue lingers in the shadows and glass, a corporate calm before the bloodbath. Jules's biblical speech lands like thunder against the sterile backdrop. Blue tries to hold the world together, but red always wins. Then there's yellow, the color of corruption. Yellow floods Lance's house during Mia's overdose, a dirty nicotine hue that makes the scene feel infected. It's not sunlight, it's rot. The same color follows Butch through his storyline. His gold watch, supposedly sacred, gleams like a false idol, a fetish of loyalty inherited through generations of pain. Butch's apartment glows with yellow lamps and wallpaper, trapping him in the heat of his own greed. Even Fabienne, with her soft blue dress and innocence, can't escape that tint. When Butch returns for the watch, the hallway light hits his face like sulfur. The movie whispers, "This is what obsession looks like, lit like decay." What makes Pulp Fiction so fascinating is how the primary colors interact. They don't stay in their lanes. Tarantino's world is one long color collision. Red and yellow make orange, a recurring hue that signals moral blur. Vincent's car, the interior of Jack Rabbit Slim's, the very glow of the briefcase, all live in that orange liminal zone between violence and enlightenment. We never see what's inside the briefcase, but it radiates golden light, and everyone who looks into it is transfixed. That glow could be literal gold, could be divine grace, could be hellfire. Whatever it is, it's color as revelation. Tarantino shoots the film on 35 millimeter with a palette reminiscent of aged Technicolor, creamy highlights and muddied contrast. The world feels worn down like a copy of a copy. That's intentional. The movie's morality is exhausted, its face secondhand. The colors are too rich for how bleak the stories are. They fight each other. The aesthetic keeps promising pleasure, but the narrative keeps giving punishment. It's a tension between beauty and brutality that defines Tarantino's style, a painterly violence that seduces you even as it disturbs you. Jack Rabbit Slims is the color thesis made manifest. It's Disneyland for degenerates, a world of jukeboxes, neon, and nostalgia where everything is performative. Mia Wallace wears white, the color of danger disguised as purity. Vincent wears black, the color of professionalism hiding decay. The three primaries in one frame: desire, control, corruption fuse into something almost holy. When they dance, the background blurs into pure color. It's not realism, it's pop theology. Every frame in that sequence is an argument about surfaces, how image replaces emotion, how style becomes salvation. And yet, Tarantino doesn't just use color to create mood, he uses it to comment on cinema itself. Pulp Fiction is a movie about movies. Its palette is nostalgic because it's referencing the cinematic past. The lurid covers of dime store pulp novels, the Technicolor glow of 1950s diners, the smoky hues of 1970s grindhouse. The color grading is a bridge across film history. Every red, blue, and yellow is both narrative and meta narrative. Tarantino is inviting us to see color as genre. The film's tone shifts the way its hues do: bright comedy 1 minute, dark tragedy the next. Even the neutrals are loud. The beige walls of the apartment where Brett dies feel suffocating, like the absence of morality. The gray daylight of Butch's escape scene is flat, sterile, almost anti cinematic. After all that saturation, the dullness feels jarring, a visual hangover after the night's binge. When he enters the pawn shop, the red returns, garish and hellish. That basement, with its crimson light and yellow grime, might as well be the underworld. The moral arc of Pulp Fiction isn't about forgiveness, it's about exposure. You can't hide in neutral tones forever. Color also serves as emotional punctuation. Think of how sudden brightness follows violence. The way the film cuts from Marvin's accidental death to the sunny outside world. Blood splatters red across the car's interior, but outside it's a perfect California morning. The dissonance is comic but cruel. Tarantino is saying, look how absurd it is that beauty and horror coexist so easily. The color doesn't change to comfort you. It reminds you that the world keeps shining even when you don't deserve it. Then there's Jules. His story is a spiritual gradient. Early on, he's framed in the hot colors of sin: red walls, amber lamps, the warmth of the hitman's life. By the final scene, the light around him softens. The diner glows golden now, not crimson. When he tells Pumpkin he's trying real hard to be the shepherd, the warmth feels earned. The same palette that once screamed violence now hums redemption. That's Tarantino's sleight of hand. The movie never changes color schemes, only meanings. Red can mean rage or salvation, depending on who's holding the gun. In color theory, complementary hues heighten each other. Red makes green look greener, blue makes orange burn brighter. Pulp Fiction works the same way narratively. Each story intensifies the next through contrast. The lurid saturation of Vincent and Mia's date makes Butch's grimy realism harsher. The dull daylight of Butch's morning makes the diner finale glow like resurrection. Color here is rhythm. It's Tarantino cutting not with scissors, but with hue. And that glowing briefcase, the purest color in the movie, becomes a mirror for all of it. When Vincent opens it, Golden light washes his face like revelation. For a second, we're watching a man illuminated by meaning. We never see the source because we're not supposed to. The color itself is the meaning. It's cinema's trick. The promise that inside the box is something transcendent, maybe art itself. Tarantino knows that the moment of light on a character's face is more powerful than any object. That's why he leaves it ambiguous. It's color as faith, pure and dangerous. Underneath all the chaos, the film's color design tells a moral story about control versus surrender. Blue tries to impose order, yellow corrupts it, red destroys it. When they combine, they create the palette of pulp. Lurid, overstimulating, seductive. The characters live inside that blend. Every decision a new mixture. Jules finds equilibrium. Vincent doesn't. Butch escapes through blood and fire. The movie ends where it began, but the light has changed. What makes Tarantino's use of color unique is that it's emotional, not didactic. He's not using color the way Wes Anderson uses pastel or Spielberg uses light. He's using it like a blues riff. Spontaneous, improvised, perfectly off-key. The colors shift mid-scene because feelings shift. There's no rule book. It's instinct, attitude, vibe. That's why Pulp Fiction feels alive, because its palette breathes with its characters. The beauty of it all is that Tarantino hides this complexity under the guise of cool. You think you're watching irony, but you're actually watching sincerity wrapped in neon. The reds and yellows and blues aren't detached. They're passionate. Every saturated frame is a confession that cinema still believes in emotion, even when it's pretending not to. Rewatch Pulp Fiction with your color filters on, and it becomes a symphony. Red for sin, yellow for decay, blue for pretense, gold for grace. The film's moral logic is visual long before it's verbal. Tarantino doesn't tell you who's good or bad. He lights them accordingly. He uses hue as conscience, saturation as fate. That's the trick of Pulp Fiction. It seduces you into thinking it's nihilistic when it's actually romantic. The violence, the dark humor, the circular storytelling, all of it is wrapped in the sensual glow of cinema itself. The film worships image, but it also questions what image costs. Every character dies or survives according to how deeply they believe in the fiction of color. Vincent stays inside it and dies. Jules steps out of it and walks away. Color theory in Pulp Fiction isn't academic. It's spiritual. It's the visual gospel, according to Tarantino. In the beginning, there was red, blue, and yellow, and they were good until we mixed them wrong, but mixed them again in the right light, and maybe redemption's possible. The colors never lie. They just change meaning depending on who's looking. And maybe that's why, after all these years, the film still feels alive. Because it understands that movies themselves are made of color and shadow, and morality lives somewhere in between. The screen glows, the world fades, and for 2.5 hours, we get to live inside that glow, a place where violence looks like art, and art looks like forgiveness. In the end, the color of Pulp Fiction isn't just style, it's soul.